scenes between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White. Then we got Sophie Cunningham speaking to the media tonight, but so much stuff happened. Let's dive into this current situation with the Atlanta Dream, speaking to the media and letting the world know pretty much why they fell short to the Indiana Fever basketball team. I'm confident moving forward with the team. As long as Caitlin Clark, I don't believe she's hurt. I believe Caitlin Clark is actually not getting in the rhythm.
The Atlanta Dream faced a challenging defeat against the Indiana Fever, losing 82-99 in what proved to be an eventful matchup filled with significant momentum shifts and controversy. Despite showing promise in the opening half, the Dream couldn't maintain their competitive edge throughout the entire contest. During the first two quarters, Atlanta displayed solid basketball fundamentals. Ryan Howard contributed significantly with 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists, while Brittney Griner added 10 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist to the team's effort. Jordan Canada delivered an outstanding individual performance, recording 30 points, 8 assists, and 3 rebounds, yet this exceptional showing wasn't enough to secure victory for her squad.
I believe Caitlin Clark is actually not getting in the rhythm. If you played any sports, especially basketball, you have to get in rhythm. And based off the pace of the game and the style of play she has, is not allowing her to get into that rhythm. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing in regards to Caitlin, poor shooting from 3. Now, granted, she did come alive in the fourth quarter and the second half, but it's not the Caitlin that we all grown to love. But with all that being said, man,
The defeat sparked considerable discussion, with multiple behind-the-scenes incidents involving key figures like Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White creating additional drama. Sophie Cunningham also addressed media members following the contest, adding to the post-game narrative surrounding the matchup. Regarding Clark's performance, analysis suggests she may be struggling to find her natural flow rather than dealing with injury concerns. Basketball requires players to establish rhythm, and the current game pace and playing style appears to be preventing her from achieving that comfortable zone. This explains the inconsistent three-point shooting, though she did show improvement during the final quarter and second half, displaying flashes of her typical stellar play.
Being said, man, let's check out this Atlanta Dream press conference. Roll the footage.
And then we'll go to questions on Zoom. If you have a question, just raise your hand.
Obviously, tough game. I thought we had a good first half. We were really competitive. Second half, we just had so many defensive breakdowns, and give them credit. They were getting extra possessions, and those extra possessions were turning into points just about every single time. So, just valuing.
The Atlanta Dream coaching staff held a comprehensive press conference following the loss, providing detailed explanations for their team's shortcomings. The head coach acknowledged the team's solid first-half performance, noting their competitive spirit during those opening minutes. However, he emphasized that numerous defensive lapses in the second half proved costly, allowing Indiana to capitalize on extra possessions that consistently converted into points. The coach stressed the importance of securing rebounds and completing defensive stops, explaining that forcing difficult shots means nothing without gaining possession of the basketball.
Every single time. So, just valuing ending their possession. It's not enough to force a tough shot. We got to come down with the ball. And then, we had some defensive breakdowns that they made us pay for. They were able to extend the lead. And then at the end, we had to, do some gambling and do some things that really we're not that equipped to do. And they made us pay for that as well. And that kind of, made the game a little more lopsided than it really was.
Go ahead, Michael.
Hey.
Additional defensive breakdowns allowed Indiana to extend their advantage, forcing Atlanta to resort to desperate gambling tactics that ultimately backfired. These risky decisions contributed to the game appearing more one-sided than the actual competitive level suggested. When questioned about Ryan Howard's condition after taking a hard fall near the end of the first half, the coach confirmed she had been medically cleared and returned to action. A frightening moment caused concern, but fortunately, she appeared to be functioning normally.
More lopsided than it really was.
Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, Coach, I know that Ryan came back and played. Is she feeling okay? Obviously, she took kind of a hard fall there at the end of the first half. I just wanted to see if she's feeling okay overall. And then second, What were they doing with Gray in particular to try to slow her down?
Well, as far as I know, Rye's doing fine. I mean, she was cleared. She went back in the game, and uh, so
Regarding defensive strategy against Aaliyah Boston, the coach explained that Indiana maintained constant pressure on her, making her work extremely hard for scoring opportunities. They employed frequent double teams and helped defense, leaving Jordan Canada open early in the game. Canada responded excellently by knocking down three-pointers when defenders helped off her, which meant Boston didn't receive her usual number of shot attempts. The coach addressed questions about Indiana's second-half adjustments, particularly the increased dominance from Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston. He clarified that Indiana didn't significantly alter their approach between halves. Rather, Atlanta simply experienced more defensive breakdowns. Indiana's players are naturally skilled cutters, and while Atlanta handled these cuts effectively in the first half, they began allowing back cuts in the second half. Additionally, rebounds that seemed secure were being tipped away, leading to Indiana three-point opportunities.
she went back in the game, and so it was a scary moment. We were worried about her, but fortunately, she seems to be okay. With Leash, they were staying attached to her and really making her work, and they were doing a lot of doubling and helping off JC early, and JC had a great first half, knocking down threes when they were helping off her. So Leash didn't get the number of shots she would normally get.
The coach emphasized that Indiana maintained their typical playing style throughout the game. Atlanta's issues stemmed from breakdowns in areas where they had performed well during the first half. Against quality opponents, such mistakes can quickly snowball, and once Indiana established a double-digit lead, Atlanta was forced to employ trapping and extended defense, which Indiana handled effectively by moving the ball to open shooters. When asked about officiating and momentum shifts, the coach acknowledged frustration from both himself and his players regarding certain calls. However, he stressed that road teams cannot expect favorable whistles and must maintain focus on making the next play rather than dwelling on referee decisions. He noted that his experienced players understand road game expectations and need to respond better to adversity.
Shots she would normally get. JC was doing such a great job getting open shots for us and knocking them down.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Wilton.
Coach, in that second half, you started seeing a little bit more of a stronger dominance coming out from Kelsey Mitchell and specifically, obviously, Aaliyah Boston. Were there some of the rotations there? Was it something that specifically that Indiana was doing that you guys weren't prepared for, or was it just something on you guys' end?
No, I don't think they.
During the player portion of the press conference, Brittney Griner addressed the fourth quarter collapse, clarifying that the problems actually began in the third quarter. She identified lackadaisical box-out efforts as the primary issue, allowing Indiana second-chance opportunities that resulted in free throws or three-point conversions. Poor communication continued into the fourth quarter, and the team failed to make necessary adjustments. Griner reflected on the season series against Indiana, noting that every possession carries significant weight. She emphasized that the small lapses that occurred in their losses to Indiana were consistently capitalized upon by their opponents. While planning to review the game film, she stressed the importance of moving forward quickly with another strong opponent approaching.
Like they did much different in the second half. We just had a lot more breakdowns. So they were, they're always great cutters, and we did a good job with the cuts in the first half. And then, the beginning of the second half, all of a sudden we, got back cut a few times, and then, that we look like we'd have a rebound and get tipped out of our hands, and then they're kicking it out for three. And so I didn't think it was so.
When asked about learning from such a significant second-half collapse, Griner stated that similar performance against any team in the league would produce comparable results. The high quality of competition means that mental lapses will be punished, and possession-by-possession focus remains crucial. Jordan Canada discussed her exceptional first-half performance, explaining that she simply found her rhythm and felt confident in her shooting. She capitalized on Indiana's defensive strategy of sagging off her from three-point range, a common approach teams use against her. Her teammates continued trusting her with the ball, and she maintained an aggressive scoring mindset throughout the first half.
As if it is a fact, and I am fully, or I'm talking about this not as if it's a fact, as if it likely happened. If it turns out that this did not happen, then I am fully willing to take down this video and completely retract this statement. But there were people at the game that have told me that this happened and they saw it. So, Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White were having a heated discussion at halftime. We're in the street as Caitlin Clark told White to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Howerby's they don't pass. Could be true. Caitlin went to tire shoe.
The recent matchup between the Indiana Fever and Atlanta Dream has sparked discussions about team dynamics and coaching decisions that could represent a pivotal moment in the season. Multiple sources from attendees at the venue have reported witnessing an intense conversation between Caitlin Clark and head coach Stephanie White during the halftime break. According to these accounts, Clark expressed frustration with certain teammates, specifically requesting that Kelsey Mitchell and others who weren't distributing the ball effectively be benched. This reported exchange highlights what appears to be a significant philosophical divide within the team structure.
Howerby's they don't pass. Could be true. Caitlin went to tire shoe. Like, that is something that I noticed. Like, Caitlin literally, when Natasha Howard had the ball, she didn't even look. She was basically walking back on defense. She essentially walked back on defense every time Natasha Howard had the ball. And by the way, if you guys didn't see Natasha Howard looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter. She looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter in what was just incredibly dumb play. And again, I do want to apologize about the size.
The tension became visible during gameplay when Clark was observed walking back on defense rather than engaging when Natasha Howard.
Incredibly dumb play. And again, I do want to apologize about the size. I do want to apologize about the size of these clips. If I make the clips any bigger, I will get copyright claims. If you're wondering why I'm not doing any breakdowns and why people aren't doing that, they're going to get copyright claims. So, if you didn't see here, Natasha Howard looks off Caitlin Clark to run to nowhere. Takes 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 steps, does the cha-cha slide, and gets it to Caitlin Clark with 3 seconds to go, and she has to shoot a tough step back. Instead of letting Caitlin Clark push the pace and go and hit someone with an assist or something.
The contrast became apparent during the fourth quarter when the team's performance dramatically improved. In just 6 minutes, they transformed the 4-point deficit into a 17-point advantage, essentially deciding the contest. This surge coincided with Howard spending only 29 seconds on the floor during this crucial period. White's decision to utilize Ari McDonald for the entire fourth quarter while benching Mitchell, despite Mitchell's 22 points entering the final period, proved effective. The lineup changes allowed Clark to operate more aggressively and within her preferred system.
Or something. But, yeah, it is a really interesting situation, and it is clear that there is a philosophical rift in the team. And I don't mean any of these are bad players. I don't think these players dislike each other, anything. There is a philosophical rift in the team. And the scary thing is that Kelsey Mitchell seems to have bought into a style of play that is not her game. And
the game showcased 2 distinct phases of basketball from the Fever. The first half featured what could be described as chaotic play, with players making difficult shots rather than executing systematic offense. Clark struggled with her shooting in the third quarter, but maintained her aggressive approach, which ultimately proved crucial. When Clark operates as the primary facilitator, the team's ball movement and cutting patterns improve significantly. However, when Mitchell controls possession, the offense becomes more stagnant, with less off-ball movement and fewer opportunities for easy scoring.
Per game. And if you guys agree, subscribe. We are trying to hit 53. If we can hit somehow hit 53.3k by the end of the day, I can't believe we have 53.2k. I'm actually in shock. I didn't think we were going to hit that. If we could hit that by the end of the day, that would be insane. But at the same time, we got to talk about this. And look, the Atlanta Dream had no answer for Caitlin. Like, Stephanie White literally played Natasha Howard 29 seconds.
The difference in Mitchell's play from last season is particularly striking. Previously, she would sprint to the basket when teammates had the ball in advantageous positions. This season, she's more likely to remain stationary or even move away from optimal positioning, representing a concerning regression in her understanding of team basketball concepts. The coaching staff faces a complex challenge with multiple starters preferring different approaches to the game. While Sophie Cunningham appears adaptable to various systems, the fundamental tension between Clark's vision and Mitchell's current preferences creates ongoing difficulties.
29 seconds. In fairness, you can say she played the entire third quarter and they won the third quarter by 9. You can make that argument. She played the entire third quarter and they won it by 9. But, like, The third quarter really was the Kelsey show. Kelsey Mitchell was fantastic in the third. Kelsey Mitchell was fantastic in the second. And Sophie goes 2 or 2 from 3. But like the fourth, they looked so much better. The first,
White deserves recognition for listening to her players and making necessary adjustments. The relationship between Clark and White appears built on mutual respect, even if they don't always agree on tactical approaches. Their ability to communicate and adjust during games suggests a healthy professional dynamic. The fourth quarter demonstrated what's possible when Clark operates within her preferred system. The team's defensive intensity increased, offensive flow improved, and they consistently found better scoring opportunities. Clark's ability to push tempo and create advantages for teammates became more apparent when given the freedom to operate.
they looked so much better. The first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, they turn it from a 4-point game to a 17-point game, and it's over. 4 to 17 in 6 minutes. And like, if you guys didn't see how that went when Natasha Howard is off the floor, and like, by the way, right after Natasha Howard looked off Caitlin Clark, Natasha Howard played help side defense and stopped the Caitlin Clark open layup. Like, Caitlin Clark was by Jordan Canada, and Natasha Howard literally slid over and hit Caitlin Clark. She played help side defense on Caitlin Clark. But
Mitchell's performance raises questions about long-term fit within the current system. While she remains a talented scorer capable of making difficult shots, relying on tough shot making as a primary offensive strategy isn't sustainable for team success. Her current approach resembles a volume scorer rather than the efficient complement to Clark that the team needs. The evening's events suggest that coaching staff and players are still working through the integration of different playing styles and personalities. The reported halftime discussion, if accurate, indicates that star players are willing to voice concerns about team chemistry and strategic direction.
she played help side defense on Caitlin Clark. But Caitlin Clark and one, she makes the free throw. Griner hits a shot. Caitlin Clark misses a layup, but gets blocked. Out of bounds play, Aaliyah Boston scores. Natasha Howard, or Ryan Howard misses. Sophie Cunningham gets a rebound. Caitlin Clark misses a layup, gets blocked again by Griner. Why does it say steal? Griner block. Gets blocked again by Griner. Then Caitlin assists off the inbound play. You can see here, Caitlin misses a 3-point shot. She's at least being aggressive. Sophie gets a rebound. Sophie gets fouled on the rebound.
Moving forward, the team's success likely depends on establishing clear roles and expectations. When Clark functions as the primary decision maker, the team's offensive efficiency and defensive engagement both improve noticeably. The challenge lies in maintaining this approach consistently while keeping all players engaged and productive. The Atlanta Dream had few answers for Clark when she operated aggressively, suggesting that the Fever's ceiling remains high when their system functions properly. The key will be ensuring that all players understand and embrace their roles within this framework, rather than trying to accommodate multiple conflicting approaches simultaneously.